speaking or stage fear, or public speaking is one of those skills that is observed to be highly varied, and you only mostly see extremes in it. Like either he speaks really well in front of the crowd, or he is just too fucking mid, or even sub mid, or he is just too fucking excellent. So the reason I think this happens is because speaking, well, most of the people who are really good at speaking are mostly the ones that naturally got their way through it to there till death. So what that means is, like, they might have a little bit of, better start off, like early childhood, nursery. The parents were home, they were exposed to a lot of words and vocabulary early on, and a lot of good conversations for the brain to feed upon, and like that, just small head start create a huge runaway effect, positive feedback loop that continued until adulthood, and even after that. So like the children who were better at speaking got to make more friends and got to speak even more, and the same children got more chances to speak at public events, and the more they spoke at public events, the better they got at it. So it just created a whole positive feedback loop. Whereas the children who had a little rough start, maybe things were not so great for them at home, or they were not really exposed to so much of vocabulary or good conversation to feed their brain up on. For those kids, it was hard for them to speak really good in general, or in front of an audience. And it also highly dependent upon identity issues, traumas, childhood traumas, and just the way people were treated, and at an early age had a huge effect on their identity, even if they are an adult now. Like, it's not like we can't fully recover from these things, but we need to put in effort that some people that didn't just exist for some people. And yeah, so for those children who did not have a very good start, they made less friends. They could make less friends, so got even less chance to speak, and they were secluded from social groups. They used to eat tiffins alone. They barely got any chance to speak in front of a stage or anything. And even if they did, it was usually forced upon, and it was like a huge step for them. So it's like making a beginner deadlift 200 kgs on the first day. Like, that's the kind of stuff people force introverts, or these kind of, I don't like to categorize people because it's all on a spectrum. So the people who are more on the introverted spectrum, or I wouldn't even say introverted, I would call it the scale of speaking skills. So people who are low on the speaking skills spectrum, those people just got less chance then to speak in front of the public, and could make less friends. I was gonna say something more about this. I just forgot it. And so the way for us, I wouldn't like. I do think I belong to maybe a little lower on the submit part of that spectrum. So I need to put in a lot more extra efforts into general speaking, public speaking, any kind of speaking. And yeah, that's it. So just don't give up hope. Like, neuroplasticity exists. People can change, people can improve, people can learn. No hope is lost. We can keep fighting. And the best part is that we can get better than the people who got there naturally, because they never learned to improve, right? They just got as better as the society could make them, like the natural practice they got whatsoever from here and there. But we had to do it the hard way, the I don't know what it's called, the neurodivergent way. That's not the word I wanted to say, but basically we had to do it in the dumbest way possible. I wouldn't call it dumb. Autistically, yeah. We had to do it autistically. So there's no threshold for us. Like, we can keep on improving. Maybe it's gonna be a lot slower and harder for us, but once we get into that momentum, then there's no stopping. And it's also like you keep upon improving your methods of practice. Like, once you start improving, you find out better ways to improve even faster. And and while improving, the most important thing is practice, because it's not like we later upon did not get enough training data on our brains. Like, introverts, even though the people who could not talk in groups in huge social circles, those people were on books, right? We were reading books, we were studying a lot. So it's not like we lack vocabulary or anything. We just have created a very bad identity about ourselves. Which is also what hugely hinders our ability to speak. Like, even if we can speak decently, that fear, like, just pulls us back from doing what we can already do by a huge margin. So that should also be something to work upon. It's not like you always lack speaking skills. You lack the right identity to actually focus on speaking and not get nervous and not get worried or fearful. And it's not, and also while doing this, the way to do this is improve your speaking, right? You should not focus upon getting rid of your fear or nervousness. That's the wrong way to do it, because fear and nervousness arise for a reason. Like, your brain has been through experiences where that caused you to that made having these fears and having fear and nervousness a better thing for your survival. That's why you have fear. We don't have fear for nothing. We don't fear air. We don't fear a small puppy, So whatever fears we have, it's all for us to get better at surviving. So if you give your brain enough new experiences where you tell, yeah, you put yourself through a situation and you survive through it, you thrive through it, like you put yourself in through enough situations where you speak well in person or in front of a crowd or in front of an audience, and you do this enough times, again and again, then you create an identity that is true confidence. That is effortless confidence, the one you don't need to fake. So that's what you should focus on. Don't focus on getting your fear removed. Focus on practicing. Focus on practicing despite having the fear, and practice long enough that you just get so used to that fear, and one day that fear doesn't start that fear stops making any sense, because you show yourself that you're competent enough. This was a long time. This was really long time since I last recorded a video. Today in college, we were asked to give written presentation. I could have given it, but I didn't. I was just too. It was also. I don't know. I don't feel like I should share it right now. Okay. But I'll get better. Love you, future news. See you in 2 years. And buy a nice car for your mom. She really needs it.